So you break down the reasons why people can be prone to believing something that's not true, and you have four categories where you start with the emotional, which I completely agreed with and believe in, and you even cite some of the same mindset of scarcity studies that affected me, with the suggestion that if you stress people out, maybe either economically or socially, or in the case of the pandemic, via isolation or
That's right.
real world stress, that they become prone to believing certain things.
So first of all, I do want to emphasize this idea that calling people conspiracy theorists is not helpful.
Agreed.
These are these are kind, intelligent, wonderful people, and if we say it's them versus us, it it doesn't help us understand what's going on. And we shouldn't discount those people, and we shouldn't discount their theories in the sense that they fulfill a real need. I mean, it's not the way I would like them to fulfill those needs, but what happened is that people do feel stressed, and it's not the stress of, oh my goodness, my calendar is too packed. It's the stress of, I don't understand the world. What is happening here? And stress gets our brains to want to find the story. One example I very quickly bring in the book is a question of two tribes of fishermen, one that fishes in the lake and one that fishes in the deep ocean. When you ask the question, which one of them has a less predictable fishing life? Of course, the deep ocean has, currents and storms and so on. Which one of them has more superstitions? The ocean. Why? Because when things are not explained, we need a story. It doesn't have to be true, but it needs a story. So when people are stressed, they want a story. But in our case, they want a story about the villain. They want to blame somebody else, and they want a story that would give them superiority. And finding a story with the villain that is complex give them a sense that they know something that the rest of society doesn't. So, we poke fun at people who believe, whatever, and then they say, "Oh, you're making fun of me. I am the one who really understand what's going on here. It's really this whole thing with the cabal and so on, and you just don't understand it, right?" Because, and that, by the way, again, it's a perfectly understandable way to plug the hole of saying I'm stressed out and I want a story.
Yeah.
And now you have a story, not a great story, but you have a story that helps you temporarily feel better. So the moment you find out that it's Bill Gates and the Illuminati or whatever, you say, okay, I'm relaxed. It's not me, and I understand the world. But that notion of being relaxed only lasts a short time, because now you start saying, oh my goodness, what else are they doing to us? And then you go online and you find out worse and worse and worse things.
You've started to touch on the second set of factors, which is cognitive. So that first, there's an emotional appeal to having a bad guy, having an insidery body of knowledge that you're privy to, and then there's also a cognitive appeal that's in some ways related.
Yeah, and the cognitive appeals there are multiple ones. One of them is, of course, which news are you watching? Are you watching Fox News or NBC? I mean, there's a choice on which one. The second one is our unbelievable ability to bend facts to our will. You can hear one thing and completely discount it because it doesn't fit with your idea. You can hear something else that has 3 points. One is in your favor, two are against, and you discount those and pay attention to that. And then the last component is our overconfidence in our knowledge. And there's a couple of mechanisms there, but the one I like the most is called the illusion of explanatory depth. And the way I demonstrated it is I asked people if they understand how a flush toilet works, one of those things. And people said yes. And I said, great. On a scale from 1 to 7, they said, I'm great. I said, wonderful. Luckily for you, I have all the pieces of a flush toilet here. Why don't you assemble it? And of course, nobody can assemble it. And then I come back to them and I say, okay, so how much do you understand it? And people say, not so much. Now, if you think about it, usually when we argue with people, we confront them. We fight. Here's this information, you're not hearing me, there's another paper on this, and there's another fact on this, and what do you do with this? And we know that people don't really listen. They start counter-arguing even before we finish the sentence. Right? And we do the same. We don't listen to them, and we start counter-arguing before they finish it. We are basically in a very defensive mode. And as a consequence, sometimes we finish arguments, and even though we were exposed to new information, we're even more sure about our original opinion because we kept on rehearsing and thinking of supporting evidence. The approach based on the illusion of explanatory depth is to say, don't fight somebody, come at it from their perspective. So, for example, think about the elections in the US. Lots of people think that the elections were stolen. And you can try and argue with them. Stolen, not stolen, here's evidence here and there. Or you could say, okay, let's not argue whether it was stolen. Help me understand how exactly it was stolen. How do elections actually work? How do the votes get counted? And if somebody wanted to steal the election, what could they do? Like, how would it actually work? Like, let's get into the details. And it turns out that when people get to the details, like the flush toilet, they say, okay, I'm not so sure. And part of the story of these misbeliefs is that it's about the belief in the outside world in something that is ain't so, but it's also taking that as a central theme in somebody's life and using that to look at the world as their perspective, right? So the moment we reduce people from 100% certainty to 95%, we already are in a different world because now they can't take it as a central tenet in their perspective, and they start looking at the world in a maybe, and that's a huge step forward. So on the cognitive side, there are ways to fight all of the cognitive parts, but this one is the most interesting one and one that we can actually start practicing.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Please do hit like and subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified every time a new episode drops. Thank you.